Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
So I was struck and trying to think about sort of what the sort of historic nature is with sort of two images right after the verdict. And one was Donald Trump leaving the courtroom and basically denigrating everything about the process. His acolytes doing the same thing. The former law and order party of the Republican Party just doesn't exist anymore. He made it sound like he had no ability to testify. It was a grievance fest, and he was dismissive of jurors as if they aren't the people. And so that's sort of one sort of rich, white, privileged person who had a fair trial and an enormous amount of legal talent and help.
You can't stop. Let's play potato chips. You can't stop at just 34 orgasms. Come on. You've got at least one more in you. Legal analysts drop bombshell predictions. Trump will be thrown in jail in hush money case. You did this just for me.
Oh, God.
This isn't just me, Chris. This isn't me wet dreaming. These are several legal analysts predicted. Okay, let me tell you why. Not that I care.
You can find a legal analyst to say anything.
Ryan Goodman said, I do anticipate the DA will ask for some sentence of incarceration, and I do think there's a good likelihood the judge will impose some sentence of incarceration. Aaron Burnett asked about the sentencing set for July 11th, which is, right before the Republican convention, which is fantastic, when they shall nominate their convicted felon. Oh, God. It's going to happen to a nicer party. On July 15th, he said, I think the sentencing will probably happen according to the speed the trial process should happen. Many of these judges in all these cases against Trump have said, look, we're going to respect the criminal justice process. We're not going to go according to a political calendar. Thank you. He said he will not be remanded to prison until he exhausts his appeals, though. Another former prosecutor said, I don't think they're going to put him in jail. I really don't. I think the convictions themselves will be enough punishment in the judge's eyes for this defendant. It was super fantastic judgment to attack the judge and his daughter. Because he's the guy that's going to decide. Norm Eisen said, in the most serious falsifying business records cases, a sentence of imprisonment is routinely imposed. This is the most serious falsifying business records in the history of the state of New York. I think Alvin Bragg is going to ask for a sentence of incarceration, and I think Judge Merchan will very seriously weigh that. And one last one, George Conway said, I thoroughly agree. Guilty of 34 felonies, no acceptance of responsibility, total contempt for the law and the legal process, literally held in contempt 10 times, attacks on witnesses and jurors. There's no substantial justification for not sending him to prison. I agree, and not just because it makes me have another orgasm.
Oh, God.
But it's all the elements in any normal case, right? No remorse. It continues to deny it. George said, has attacked everyone involved with the case. 10, and that's why they were saying that he may have been. He's like, what's his name? Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Hold. All the times that people were like, throw him in jail, and they were saying that's why he may have been holding back on throwing him in jail for all of the contempts, the 10 times when Glenn and everybody else said he should, anyone else would be in jail. Yes. But that was an incredible restraint, the 10 times. And even Alvin Bragg, right, he said, just ask for the fines. He didn't ask for incarceration. Right. But, I mean, if anyone more richly deserves it, it's Trump in this case. And then I wonder, we'll ask Glenn whenever. Hi, Glenn, wake up.
I'll call him
now.
again.
Let's go. Get your head off the bottle of tequila. America's waiting. Yeah. Let's go. No, but I wonder, I think you've mentioned this before, Jerry. I wonder how it affects other cases that he's now a convicted felon. Because now he's not a first-time offender. The next case that goes...
That would affect sentencing if he gets convicted of other crimes.
That would. Absolutely.
Yeah. Alexander Vindman, 12 citizens, 12 everyday Americans did what the Senate Republicans and Senate GOP twice failed to do. How many lives could have been saved, tragedies avoided if the Senate convicted Trump in the first impeachment? And John Pavlovitz, imagine if Judge Cannon wasn't passionately trying to prevent us from the kind of justice we saw today. History is going to judge her incredibly poorly. and our beloved Joe from Jurors. To every Republican calling this verdict a disgrace, the disgrace is Donald J. Trump. It's a disgrace you will attack the judicial system before acknowledging his guilt. It's a disgrace you continue to capitulate and abdicate to a criminal. That is the disgrace here. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but I guess there is just no enough that's enough for them.
And Donald's holding a press conference in about an hour.
Oh, I can't wait. Do you think he'll whine at all? Do you think there'll be any... Do you think... what's the over-under? What's the drinking game for witch hunt, scam, rigged?
All of it.
Yes.
All of it.
All right,
Absolutely.
well, drink up.
Everything in your well.
Can you put the podcast together before you start drinking? Because this is Todd Blanche with Caitlin Collins.
And so there's not, that's not the point. That's a question that is a loaded question that should not be asked of a defense attorney or a defendant. The question that we asked the jury, and they ultimately obviously got passed, is why the prosecution didn't call those witnesses, right? You, as a defense attorney, you don't go into a case saying, I'm going to fill the holes of the prosecution, right?
He sounds like Nathan Thom there.
It's him.
Yeah.
It's everybody else, not me, right?
Right.
I didn't lose the case, right?
Oh my God.
I'm not incompetent, right? But Blanche,
Does everybody know who Nathan Thom is?
Yeah, from SNL.
Oh,
okay.
Martin
Here we go.
Short, yes.
Yeah.
And Keith Schiller and some of the other witnesses that were not ultimately called, in our view, should have been called by the prosecution, and we asked the jury to take a hard look at that. I don't know whether they did or not, but they convicted.
They could have called those people.
Yeah.
Right. That nothing that they say has made sense in court or out of court. You just lost. Bluesy McLoserton from Losertown. Megyn Kelly tweeted, guilty on all counts. The country is disgraced. Alvin Bragg should be disbarred. What? They will rue the day they unleash this lawfare to corrupt a presidential election. And David Simon just tweeted back, this man, a porn star, then paid hush money to avoid the stain and deceive voters, then created false paperwork to hide the payment and cheat on his taxes. And you want to find martology in that. Cool. But I know a lying, grifting heel when I see one, and so did a jury. Okay. So much whining. Mm-hmm. Oh, Alan Dershowitz.
Oh God.
You know what? We may, for the first time, Chris, need to do both tiny violins at once because...
Oh, that clashes.
That didn't sound right.
No, that didn't sound good at all.
Neither does he. Okay. Maybe we need to wait for Frangela because no one speaks to the aggrieved rich white man's plight in America better than Frangela.
I guess according to him, the absolute worst thing in the world is to be shunned on Martha's Vineyard.
Yes.
On Martha's Vineyard.
Yes. Alan Dershowitz suggested no judge will be willing to overturn Trump's guilty verdict for fear of being shunned on Martha's Vineyard as he was. He said they got him, and they got him good because he's unlikely to even be able to successfully appeal. Yay! Oh, I'm sorry, but back to his whining. These are people who don't want to be Dershowitzed. Oh, is he using his name as a verb? They don't want to be Dershowitzed? That's to be shunned on Martha's Vineyard.
Is to be Dershowitz? Okay,
yes.
Got it.
People know what happened to me when I defended Donald Trump on the floor of the Senate. Nobody on Martha's Vineyard would speak to me. Larry Davis would be mean to me.
Then move. He doesn't have to have a
Can
house
I just
on
say,
Martha's Vineyard.
that's the next thing, is all of these maggots, they're like, they'll sort and it'll be overturned on appeal. Really? Because no. Because 34 guilty, because that was the other thing, is before the verdict, we didn't know, would it be guilty on some and not on others?
Right.
We knew it wasn't a hung jury when they said they had a verdict.
Right.
But you were like, oh my God, holy God, or is it going to be an acquittal?
Right.
Guilty on all 34 counts. I mean, it was a mountain of... And when they asked for Pecker's testimony back,
That's
I knew
when
that
you
was
knew.
because he corroborated everything Michael Cohen said.
Exactly.
So that didn't even make any sense, them trying to say David Pecker's a great guy and honest, but Michael Cohen isn't. They both said the exact same thing and corroborated each other. So it's just, what a disaster of
it was
defense.
such a preponderance of evidence that they only deliberated for 9 hours.
11 hours.
11 hours?
Total.
I think they played Yahtzee most of that time just for show.
You know what?
They played
It took 4
Twister.
seconds. They were like guilty.
They played Twister.
Right foot red. Let's just a little more time so it looks good.
Believe me, in a jury room, you want to get out of there as soon as you
possible.
can. So you're not playing any games at all. You want lunch.
All right, Glenn Kirshner is no in casa. I'm gonna, you know what the legal term is, Chris? I believe is sleeping it off. I'm guessing in.
Well, there was a picture of
Becky's.
him and Frank Figluzzi that they posted yesterday after the verdict.
They're
so.
at Crime Con over in
Nashville.
Nashville. So it's a little later there, but still early. Or I'm sure.
He might have it
what he and
normally
Frank
set
were
for
up to.
9:30. His alarm normally set for 9:30, and then because he asked me yesterday, "Is it 8:30 local time?"
But-
and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Because I don't want to screw up the time."
If you set your alarm on your phone, it knows when you've changed.
All right. We will, listen, everybody
time
is
zones.
allowed to sleep it off this morning. We will talk to him when he wakes up. That's fine. Okay. So this was Todd Blanche on Jesse Waters. Here we go.
How involved was Donald Trump in his own defense?
I mean, what do you think? I mean, very involved. And he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He jokingly said to us a lot, sometimes he wanted to be the litigator. You know, he wanted to be the one that was actually arguing because he's a smart guy and he knows what he's doing. We made every decision together.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He was convicted.
Okay, so but Chris Hayes made the great point about this.
Yes.
Here we go.
It's very funny that Blanche's reaction was, "What do you think?" Because, and here's why, part of the defense theory of the case was that Donald Trump was so checked out that this all happened without him managing it. And when asked, did he micromanage the case? He goes, well, of course, obviously he did. Literally the subject of the defense was he a micromanager who would know about this? And him saying, what do you think, is just a very funny thing to say.
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole theory of the case. Boom. He's a micromanager who, of course, directed this whole thing. I'm glad I kept our violins out because Todd Blanche. Oh, so let's see. This week when Jenna Ellis got disbarred and cried and had to apologize, she said it's because she's just a baby lawyer.
Right.
And all the big adult lawyers.
All the big old lawyers.
Right. Misled her. Right. So now Todd Blanche says Trump shouldn't be sent to jail because he's old. So the time for justice is never when you're a white Republican?
Right.
Yeah.
This is old and feeble.
He said his client should not be sent to prison because he's 77.
He's an old
I thought
feeble
Joe
man.
Biden was old, and he's young and springy. He said something like President Trump should never, ever face a jail sentence based on this conduct.
Yes, he should.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Probably won't, though.
You are invited to Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Save the World Tour. It's the political comedy event of the year, and it's coming to a city near you. Join Stephanie Miller, the queen of progressive talk radio, along with Hal Sparks, John Fugelsang, and the comedy duo Frangela, mocking all the fascists and trolls for a tour that is hilarious, inspiring, and deeply offensive to just the right people. It's an all-new tour with all new guests and a side-splitting evening of stand-up. Stephanie Miller's Sexy Liberal Save the World Tour.